who got all jabs, one vaccine after another, and they got five, six,
I
seven.
had vaccinations. I haven't had it in a
Mm.
while, but I did have COVID back in 2022 or 23, and I had vaccinations. It just wasn't that bad. That's all.
Okay, no more bragging, okay?
All right.
No more bragging. All right. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהכל נהיה בדברי.
Amen.
Chaim l'chaim, everybody. L'chaim v'livracha. Okay. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. Continue with our Maimer Hasidic discourse, Pantav Shalom. And you can be redeemed in peace. And the redeeming in peace, the greatest way in doing that is through Torah study. Anybody has a problem, you want to redeem yourself with the difficulty, the problem that you have. Still have a little phlegm. The but Baruch Hashem, I'm well. So Torah redeems you from a battle in peace, in a peaceful way. We spoke about 3 different dimensions in Torah that does that. We spoke about one dimension in Torah, previously, was that it redeems. Time period was King Solomon. And we gave all the parallels there. That was quite beautiful. And that was parallel to the revealed parts of Torah. The revealed parts of Torah have to go and shed light, right? A ray of light, like the sun, a ray of light from the sun that goes far away from the sun to shed light in a dark place. And that's what Torah does in a dark place of the materiality of this world. And we see that in the historical context that the Queen of Sheba, Malka Sheva, she came, right? She heard only about the fame of Solomon. She didn't know of Solomon, just the fame of. That's the ray of light that precedes him, right? His fame precedes him, and and she came, and was only affected or transformed when she came. Same idea of the transformation of the material topic, not the material itself, but the topic of the material. Okay. Now that was the first stage, the first level. Then we have in the internal teachings of the Torah, that was the revealed parts of the Torah, the Talmud, Jewish law, and so on. Now we will explain that in the times of Mashiach, there are 2 stages, and the 2 stages are a reference to the 2 levels of Torah study, the 2 levels of Torah study that are left to discuss. In the first stage, the world will continue to function by the rule of nature. How come? Because so God decides. Right? So God decides. Now, the reason why nature is nature, because so God decided it should be. Excuse me. Not because there's some inherent purpose, or I mean, there's an inherent purpose, an inherent reason for that. Oh, God decided. That's what makes it inherent. Now, so if nature is still nature, then what happens in times of Mashiach? That's different. Or Ein Sof, the limitless light of God. It's concealed right now, right? It's going to be revealed. What does that mean? It's going to be revealed. It means that we will perceive, we will experience the nullification to godliness. In other words, that God is the true reality and the authentic and only reality, right? The difference, though, will be, I mean, not difference, it will be a bittul, self-effacement that's sort of, in a sense, imposed, shall we say, externally. What do I mean by that, imposed? Not imposed in a bad way, right? Like an imposing figure, right? That's actually good. We've all met people, excuse me, right? A person, an imposing figure, right? And in a positive, good way, not making themselves an imposition, right? But because of the greatness of their personality, you sense the imposing, not the imposition, but how, like standing before the Rebbe, and the Rebbe asks of something of you, for let's say, because of the imposing figure, shall we say, you're going to acquiesce, and of course, you want to do it, whatever it is, even though it seems like maybe, a great challenge and difficulty. But the point is, there's a bittul there, but the bittul is coming from without, not from within. And that's the important point over here. Which means God's going to impose himself in nature that we will have no choice but to recognize his presence. Right? Again, that's not in a bad way. Oh, what's going on online? No one's watching. Is everything working? No one's here today. All right. God will impose upon nature, and nature, which right now in Hebrew is called teva. Teva means sunken. Because what does nature do? It sinks the reality, the true reality of what is within nature, which is the spark of God, the presence of God, the reality of God. That's what nature does. In times of Mashiach, nature will be imposed, if you will, by the Ein Sof light of God, that you will see. Oh, ain't nobody, there's nothing else but him. Well, you get nullified in the sense that, like when you walk by a great person, when you engage in a great person, you feel nullified, you feel small, you feel their greatness, right? Now, Again, the important point is that this is not from within, but this is from without. In other words, that beyond nature will be shown by the Ein Sof light of God, that it is, the true reality is nothing else but God, right? It's pretty awesome. But it's an augmented thing to the world, in a sense, because it's imposing, it's not from within, right? Again, when the bittul doesn't come from within, and it comes from without because you stand before an imposing figure, so it's adding something to you, but it's not you. So it's like adding something to nature, but not nature. So in a sense, right? That parallels learning Chassidus, which we're learning now, parallels learning Tanya, right, which we'll do later, during Golus, exile, like we're doing now, through intellect. What does it mean? What does it mean when you learn about God, abstract, nature of God, the presence of God, the authenticity and the reality that there's nothing else but God, and you get it intellectually? Well, anything that you understand intellectually is an add-on to you, right? Well, how so? Previously, you didn't know it. Now you know it. So that's adding to you. There's you and the add-ons to you, right? So what we're learning here, you're adding to you. It's wonderful. That's great. But it's an add-on to the essence. But doesn't become a part of your core essence. Therefore, the awareness that we'll have in the first time period of Mashiach there'll be a bittul, there'll be a self-effacement, there'll be a recognition of the divine, but as it's an add-on, right? And since it's an add-on, it won't change the essence of us or the essence of the world, right? Because anything that you know intellectually, right? And we're talking about knowing something intellectually, which is added on to, like before you knew 2 + 2 = 4, you didn't know it. Now it's added on to you, but there was the you before. You knew that. The essence of you, right? So it's not changing your essence. Even this awareness, this knowledge, this grasp intellectually of godliness it's something new to you, but it's not adding on to the core essence of you. And therefore, it can fluctuate. That awareness, that commitment to that divine, to the divine, excuse me, to the divine. Because intelligence fluctuates. Yesterday I knew this idea more clearly. Today, it's not so clear. Tomorrow, maybe I'll know it even more than yesterday, right? Because it'll filter. I'll think about it more thoroughly. I actually, I've been thinking about an idea. We're giving an amazing course, Nurturing Relationships. And some of the thoughts there. So I'm thinking it through, and I have greater understanding and therefore greater commitment to some ideas now than I did, before giving the class. And I then ponder it further, and it brings it to even a greater appreciation and commitment. And sometimes it's going to wane, wax and wanes, right? But that's intelligence. So in the first era of Mashiach, which nature won't be as is, because there won't be any more wars. There won't be any more greed. Right? Why? Why? And there won't be envy. Why? There'll be enough food for everyone. Why? No? Anybody? David, why? Huh?
Still have Mercedes.
Why? There won't be envy? Won't be greed? Because when the presence of God is revealed in nature, then like how do you have greed? Anybody ever stood in front of the Rebbe and like was greedy? Had if they had the Chassidus, a private audience with the Rebbe, they were, greedy? No. Imposing holy figure. Well, God's imposing holiness will be authentically revealed in the world, and we'll live with that. And therefore, that will produce that we won't be greedy. Right? But the nature of the world itself doesn't change until the second stage of Mashiach, where there'll be a complete bittul, refinement of the world. What that exactly means, I don't know. Like, what does it mean that the nature of this world is, how that plays itself out? I have no idea. And it's not important. Let Mashiach come and, what happens for the good, right? Let's have the first stage, and then we'll go into, just by the way, people look at what's going on in the world today, and they say, and what's so dark out there, how's it possible? Mashiach is coming. And it's true. Before Mashiach's coming, it's going to be polar opposites, which we see that. We see that politically. We see that in so many ways. Not that one of the political sides is the Mashiach camp, and the other one is the Satan, Klipa, Sitar Acher. No, they're both Sitar Acher. Because one might just be less negative than the other, but they're not holiness, that's for sure. They're not God's holiness, so it's only Torah mitzvahs. Right? But the way of the world, just 200 and just 100 years ago, was one nation conquering another nation, one king battling another king. That's the way of the world. Well, it's not the way of the world anymore. Not to say that there isn't battles, but it's not the nature of the world. On the contrary, one of the good, and everything that's got to be a little brekel, a little crumb of good there. One of the crumbs of good in protests that are being made, again, just a very small crumb over there, is the notion that, there shouldn't be any more war. That's true. There shouldn't be. Mashiach is coming, and there won't be. But Mashiach is, he hasn't yet, built the third temple and gathered in the Jewish people, and so it's not. We're still in the last moments of exile that we have to finish off. We have to finish off what we got to do, and there's evil that needs to be eradicated. But the notion that there shouldn't be any more war, right? Even though the intent is not a proper intent, and it's coming, from an anti-Semitic in many instances, right? Anti-Semitic, in the end, it's all about jihad and from the river to the sea, 100%, no question about that. But that's the very notion that there can be protests, no more war, ceasefire, right? Didn't exist 100+ years ago. No, even 100 years ago. Yeah, even 100 years didn't exist, that notion, which is really quite amazing when you think about it.